You just said, I'm fine when you weren't fine. You accepted it, swallowed it, smiled. And while you were smiling, a part of you was calculating exactly how much longer you need to hold on because you know the exact balance in your account. You know how much is left before rent is due. You know that if you stand up and walk out right now, tomorrow you can't pay the electric bill, so you stay. Not because of love, not because of loyalty, not because you want to. You stay because the money you have or don't have keeps you locked in tighter than any person ever could. And the worst part isn't even staying. The worst part is knowing that you're staying. It's looking in the mirror and recognizing that woman you swore you'd never become. The one who accepts. The one who swallows. The one who depends. 3 weeks ago, you opened your phone's calculator at 2 a.m. Not to plan your investments, hell no. To see if you could survive on your own. Salary, minus rent, minus the bills that are in your name but shouldn't be, minus the payments on that thing you bought to make someone happy who doesn't even thank you. The result came up negative. You closed the app, pretended you didn't see it, went to sleep next to the person who makes you calculate escape routes. You've fantasized about leaving. Of course you have. You've imagined throwing it all away, telling everyone to fuck off, grabbing your stuff and disappearing. But then the math hits. It always hits. First month's rent somewhere new, security deposit, moving costs, the basic stuff you'd need to buy. And the number in your banking app doesn't cover even half of that. So the fantasy ends. And you go back to the job that drains you, the relationship that diminishes you, the house where your opinion matters less than whose name is on the utility bill. Every time your boss talks to you like that, you take a deep breath because you need the paycheck. Every time he decides for you, you let it slide because it's a joint account and you put in less. Every time your family has opinions about your life like they own the deed to it, you listen. Because if you break away, there's nowhere to go. And the silence you swallow has a price tag. It has an exact value. It has a bank statement. You locked away the anger, locked away the outrage, locked away your voice, and you put it all in a vault called survival. But survival isn't living. You know this. Every woman who's ever had to stay when she wanted to leave knows this. The name for this is financial dependence. But nobody explained that financial dependence doesn't start when you have $0. It starts way before that. It starts when you have money, but not enough to leave. It starts when your salary pays your bills, but doesn't pay for your freedom. It starts when you're independent on paper, but held hostage in practice. And the trap is sophisticated because you work, you earn, you pay your bills. But at the end of the month, what's left? Nothing that gives you the courage to slam that door. Nothing that lets you look in the eye of whoever's disrespecting you and say, I don't need this shit. You've built a financial life that works, but only works if you stay exactly where you are. It's a prison with Wi-Fi and Netflix. Still a prison. Nobody taught you to build fuck off money. They taught you to save for medical emergencies, to replace your car, for your dream vacation. But nobody said, save money so you can tell everyone to fuck off when you need to. Nobody talks about that. Because a woman with fuck off money is a dangerous woman. She's a woman who doesn't accept, who doesn't bow her head, who doesn't stay because she has to. The financial system was designed to teach you to save for the distant future. Retirement, pension, assets, all beautiful, all long-term. But what about emotional emergencies? What about the day you wake up and just can't take it anymore? What about the Monday when you simply cannot go back to that place? For that, there's no financial product. For that, there's no bank manager offering solutions. For that, you're on your own. The truth nobody told you is that every woman needs money that nobody knows exists. Money that's not in the family budget, that wasn't declared in the couple's finance conversation, that doesn't go into the shared spreadsheet. Money that's yours. Only yours. Untouchable. Secret if it needs to be. You can call it an emotional emergency fund. You can call it a freedom fund. You can call it whatever you want. But there's one name that perfectly captures what this money represents. The fuck off fund. The fuck off fund isn't for medical emergencies. It's not for losing your job. It's for when you need to leave. Leave what hurts you. Leave who controls you. Leave where you're made smaller. It's the money that gives you the courage that anger alone can't provide. Because anger fades. Outrage cools down. But money in the account doesn't lie. Money in the account is an exit door. And here's what nobody told you about building this kind of money. It doesn't just work when you use it. It works every single day you don't need to use it. Because knowing you can leave completely changes how you stay. You negotiate differently when you have the option to walk away. You speak differently when you don't depend on who's listening. You exist differently when your presence is a choice, not a necessity. But the fuck off fund has rules. And the first rule is that it's not long-term investment money. It's not for stocks that might crash. It's not for locking into a 2-year CD. It's not for gambling on crypto. This is emergency exit money. It needs to be available tomorrow if tomorrow is the day. The second rule is that it can't be in the same place as the rest of your money. It's not a line item in your budget. It's a separate account, preferably at a different bank, preferably without a physical card so you don't accidentally spend it, preferably one you only access through the app after logging in, after confirming, after thinking twice. Because the fuck off fund isn't for buying a couch, it's for buying dignity. The third rule is that it's progressive. You don't need 6 months of expenses from day one. You start with enough for 3 nights at a hotel, then a week, then 1 month's rent somewhere else, then 3 months of basic survival, then 6 months of a complete restart. Each layer you add is another layer of courage. Every extra $1,000 in that account is one less humiliation you need to swallow. Now, let's talk about where to put this money, because location matters. The fuck off fund lives in 3 places, and you're gonna use all 3 at the same time. First place, treasury money market funds or high yield savings accounts. You open an account at a brokerage or online bank, and this money earns a bit above regular savings, but can be withdrawn in 1 business day. It's not about getting rich. It's about not losing to inflation while you're not using it. You put most of your fuck off fund here, safe, federally insured, liquid in 24 hours. Second place, high yield savings with same day access. Some online banks offer accounts that earn interest every day, and you can withdraw whenever you want without losing returns. Look for ones paying competitive rates with immediate liquidity. You put a smaller portion here. This is your even faster access layer for when you might need to withdraw same day. Third place, separate checking account with actual cash sitting there doing nothing. Could be at Ally, could be at Marcus, could be Capital One 360, doesn't matter. The important thing is having $2,000, $3,000 just sitting there earning nothing but available for instant transfer. This is your emergency within the emergency layer for when you need to leave now, for when you can't wait even 1 business day. And while you're building this, while you're setting aside this money month by month, something changes. You change. Because every time you transfer $200, $500, $1,000 into this secret account, you're transferring power. You're buying back the woman you were before you learned to swallow bullshit. You're rescuing the version of you who doesn't accept anything just because she needs something. The fuck off fund gives you back something money doesn't usually buy: choice. And choice changes everything. Changes how you react when someone treats you badly. Changes what you accept in a relationship. Changes how much you bend at work. Changes your tolerance for disrespect. Because now you're not trapped. You're choosing to stay. And tomorrow, if you want, you can choose to leave. But there's an uncomfortable side to all of this that needs to be said. When you start building your fuck off fund, you're going to notice things. You're gonna notice how much of your life you were accepting just because you had no financial choice. You're going to notice how many times you said yes when you wanted to scream no just because your balance didn't allow for refusal. You're going to notice that maybe you're not in a bad relationship, but in a relationship that only exists because leaving is expensive. And that hurts. It hurts to realize you built your life on top of dependence disguised as partnership. It hurts to realize your job pays you just enough not to leave, but not enough to have options. It hurts to realize that the joint account that seemed so mature was just a subtle way of handing over control. But the pain of realizing it now is tiny compared to the pain of realizing it 10 years from now, when you've invested an entire decade in a life that only worked because you had no way out. The fuck off fund isn't gentle with your illusions. It exposes the truth. And the truth is that you deserve to be where you are because you want to be, not because you have to be. Here's what's going to happen when you have 6 months of expenses saved in a place only you know about. You're going to sit differently in meetings. You're going to talk differently to people who disrespect you. You're going to negotiate your salary differently. You're going to set different boundaries at home, because the woman with a fuck off fund doesn't beg, doesn't humiliate herself, doesn't accept crumbs. She negotiates as an equal because she knows she can leave. And whoever can leave is never in a weak position. Whoever can leave chooses to stay. And whoever chooses to stay stays on different terms, stays with respect, stays with a voice, stays with dignity. But let's talk about what nobody wants to talk about. The fuck off fund reveals relationships. If you're in a healthy relationship based on mutual respect, your fuck off fund doesn't threaten anything. You can even tell them you have it. You can even encourage the other person to have theirs. Because healthy relationships aren't sustained by dependence. They're sustained by choice. But if you're in a relationship that only works because you have nowhere to go, the fuck off fund is a ticking time bomb. Because the person who controls you financially knows that control depends on your lack of options. The day you have options, the game changes. And some people don't want the game to change. So some women hide the fuck off fund. And that's okay. It's not dishonesty. It's survival. Because in a relationship where you need to hide that you have money to leave, you should have already left. The fuck off fund just gives you the means, the courage you'll have to find on your own. And there's another hard truth. Building the fuck off fund is going to cost you some things. It's going to cost you that dinner you wanted, those clothes that were on sale, that weekend trip everyone's taking. Because you're choosing future freedom over immediate comfort. You're choosing power over pleasure. And nobody Nobody's gonna applaud you for it. Nobody's gonna post on social media congratulating you for saving $500 this month instead of spending it. Nobody sees. Nobody knows. It's invisible effort building invisible power until the day you need to use it. Then everyone sees. Some women built a fuck off fund and never needed to use it. Great, even better. Because the goal isn't to leave. The goal is to be able to leave. The goal is to live without fear, to work without terror, to be in relationships without erasing yourself, to exist without having to bow down. Some women built the fuck off fund and used it 3 months later, left the toxic job, left the abusive relationship, left the house where they weren't respected, and they survived. It wasn't easy, it wasn't pretty, but it was possible. And it was possible because they had prepared, because they had saved not just money, but courage in the form of a bank statement. What people who build real wealth know, and nobody told you, is that the first type of wealth you need to build isn't assets, it's autonomy. Assets come later. Autonomy comes first. Because you don't build a solid financial empire while you're held hostage. You build crumbs, you build survival, you build dependence with a pretty name. Real financial autonomy starts with the ability to say no. No to your boss, no to your partner, no to your family, no to anyone who confuses your presence with obligation. And you can only truly say no when that no doesn't put you on the street. Every dollar you put in the fuck off fund is a piece of no you're buying back. It's a piece of your voice you're recovering. It's a piece of the woman you were before you learned that survival requires silence. And here's the part that's gonna bother you. You've probably already spent the amount your fuck off fund should be. You've already spent it on things that didn't bring you freedom. You've already spent it trying to impress people who don't matter. You've already spent it on temporary comfort that became permanent regret. If you add up everything you spent in the last 6 months on non-essential things, it equals the fuck off fund you should have. It's not lack of money. It never was. It's priorities. And the question you need to answer alone, without an audience, without judgment, is what are you prioritizing? Impressing others or freeing yourself? Looking like you're fine or being fine? Living the life you were taught to want or building the life that lets you choose? You have two options on the table right now. You can close this, mentally agree with everything that was said, and do nothing. You'll keep calculating escape at 2 a.m. You'll keep swallowing what you shouldn't. You'll keep trapped in a life that technically works but suffocates you every day. 5 years from now, you'll be exactly where you are today. Just 5 years older, 5 years more tired, 5 years more regretful that you didn't start when you had the chance. Or you can start tomorrow. Open the account, transfer the first $200, mark it on your calendar, fuck off on day one. Don't tell anyone if you don't want to. You don't need approval. You don't need an audience. You need consistency. Next month, another 200. The month after, 300. In 6 months, you have a layer. In 1 year, you have choice. In 2 years, you have freedom. Nobody's gonna do this for you. Money's not gonna fall from the sky. No prince with a full vault is coming to save you. There's no financial miracle. There's you alone deciding you deserve to have a choice. There's you month by month building the exit that nobody can take away from you. So now you decide, stay hostage or build the escape. How much of your dignity are you willing to trade for temporary comfort? How much longer are you going to pretend everything's fine when you know exactly what balance is keeping you trapped? The fuck off fund won't solve your life, but it'll give you the tool to solve it yourself. It'll give you back the choice you lost along the way. It'll return the power you handed over without realizing. Your move